The Liberty Center Tiger boys making a trip to state and winning a regional championship. Let's find out about all the members of the team as they get ready to run at state.
Matt Huber, senior.
Cameron Weeks, senior.
Alan Meyer, senior.
Vince Pinson, junior.
Kyle Nash, junior.
Jason Hadley, junior.
Matt Baker, junior.
Colin Burns, sophomore.
First thing I've got to ask is, I don't think you guys all have black hair all the time. What's going on with this?
Well, we dyed our hair to symbolize that we made it to state and that we're united and ready to go.
All right, tell me why this has been a season and a team that can get to state, that you won a regional championship.
Because we put in the miles in the summer and we worked hard together and we're united as a team and we're really close.
You talked about miles. How many miles are we talking? Give people an idea how much time and miles you guys put in.
Usually around 500 and maybe more.
In how much big of a span?
And like during the summer and throughout the fall.
Okay. Cameron, you're kind of the leader in terms of where you finish normally. Tell me how you set the pace.
I just make sure everybody is kind of on pace when it comes to the start of the race. After that, I can't really do anything for them, but I'm pretty encouraged by these guys, and they know what they're doing. So.
Well, you have to set a pace, though. So how is your pace set? Are you watching a clock? Okay, I ran a 5-minute mile here or what? Or is there a certain person you're chasing? How do you set it?
I usually go with the front pack or right behind the front pack because I don't usually lead a race in the first mile. I just try to see where everybody else is.
Right. Tell me about how you race. What is your strategy?
I just get out with some of the other guys that are around me on the team and try to go with them as long as I can, and then hammer later in the race after I normally get out a little slower and then hammer later.
When you talk about your training, what do you think is the most important part of the training to make your team a state caliber team?
Dedication in the off season. Many of our guys run year round, and that's not something that coach tells us that we have to do. It's something that we do just because we want to be good, and I think that's the biggest part to our success.
Right. Vince, right, tell me a little bit about why you wanted to be a cross-country runner for the Tigers.
I want to be a cross-country runner because actually me and Kyle are in the same grade, and we thought it'd be fun, and we wanted to try something new. So one day we signed up for it together and started showing up, and it was the best thing we've ever signed up for.
Is it like you thought it would be, or is it totally different?
It's definitely different. It's a lot better than what I expected actually as a high schooler.
Tell me what's different. What have you experienced that you weren't expecting?
I didn't know we'd be as friendly. I didn't know we'd be like a family. I didn't know we'd be this close and do so much together and just progress the way we have.
How do you think the team has moved from being a team that maybe was, waiting to make a move to a team that now is a regional championship team and going to state?
I think it has a lot to do with our alumni, and they kind of built the frame, and we're just kind of the siding of the house, and they kind of built our program up and helped us get mentally and physically where we're at today.
Now, what are some of the important parts of training from your perspective?
I would have to say one of the most important things is getting summer miles in. Our coach always says summer miles equal October smiles, and I think that really means a lot, and it is very true.
How can you smile when you're putting so much hard work in, though? I think that's what a lot of people out there wonder.
Well, all the hard work in the summer normally pays off in October, and after you just did really good at a race, you're just smiling and all happy, and you knew it was all because of summer.
Right. It takes 8 or 7 guys to make it happen. So for you and going in, is there a time you're shooting for or a place?
My goal is to get out with the pack, and I would probably want to be around 17:10 at state is my goal.
People say pack, but how do you guys stay together when there's certain, probably parts of the course that aren't wide enough to get through for, several wide?
I just try to keep my eyes forward and look for the tiger paw on the back of our jerseys.
All right, that's the sign to follow. How about you? What has been some of the important parts of training for you to help this team progress to state?
Well, the mental capability, because running the 5K sure does put a lot of strain on your mind, not just your physical capabilities.
So what are you thinking about when the race is going on? Do you try and block out pain? Do you try and think about placing, time? What are you thinking?
I tried to remember the feeling of winning and not losing.
Right, well, it's on to state. What have you done to get ready throughout this year that's been a key part of training?
A lot of dedication.
and just keeping my heads up.
When you talk about dedication, that can bring a lot of different points in. Dedication in what areas would you say?
Just keep pushing myself to do better each day.
Well, each week has been a step in the right direction for Liberty Center as they now head to state to see if they can bring home a championship for the Tigers. Liberty Center Tiger girls make another trip to state after winning the regional championship. I'm going to have them introduce themselves and we'll find out more about the team and their expectations going to state.
Paige Chamberlain, senior.
Brittany Atkinson, junior.
Olivia Kundo, sophomore.
Rachel Pinson, sophomore.
Hannah Knapp, sophomore.
Cheryl Davenport, freshman.
Jenna Vollmer, freshman. Emma Babcock, freshman.
All right, well, let's go back to the leader of the pack here, senior Paige Chamberlain. Paige, for you, how many trips to state in your career?
7 altogether, but this is my 4th for cross.
Okay, 4 in 4 years. So tell me why this has been something the team's been able to accomplish.
I have great teammates with a lot of strong runners, and we all are there for each other, and that's how we've been doing it for the past years.
Tell me when you started training for this team to get ready for this run for state.
This summer, we put in a ton of miles together, and it was just over the summer and all up leading up to this to get where we are.
You had one of the biggest improvements at the regional. What happened there to help you move up?
I focused a lot more, and I thought about my teammates and how they are hurting, and that's how I was able to push through it and work harder for that race.
How do you like to race? Do you start out fast or kind of work your way up through the pack? Tell me how you like to move.
I kind of like to get in my position within the first mile, but my first 400, I kind of take it out somewhat slow, and then I pick it up. But by the mile mark, I'm about where I want to be at the end.
Okay, Brittany Atkinson making her 3rd trip to state in cross country. You were the top runner for LC. Maybe tell me how you set the pace for this pack.
We all talk about like roles and what role we have on the team, and we talk about how mine is just to, kind of set the tone and make sure everyone is, where they're at, and make sure that I'm up front so that they be up front too and kind of feed off of each other.
Well, how do you know how fast to go if you're the leader of the pack? They know how fast to try and catch you, but what about your pace?
We've done enough workouts and stuff that I kind of know, and I just kind of run out and get comfortable and find what feels best and kind of push myself then throughout the race.
Was there any race throughout the year that you thought, I think this team can get to state again anytime throughout the year?
I think the race for me was at Tiffin Carnival. I mean, we all kind of pulled together there as a team, and we started having fun when we raced, and we felt really good about it afterwards. And I think that was the point in the season where I thought, wow, we really got a solid team here.
Olivia, what will be your 2nd trip to state? What did you learn last year that's going to help you this year as you go down?
I think just the experience from last year and knowing what to expect at the state meet is going to help out a lot.
Like, what were some of those experiences that you're going to maybe do better in, for instance?
I know last year in the race I went out kind of fast. I know it might have been due to nerves or just being excited. And I know this year that I needed to stay focused and run my race at state.
All right, Rachel, it's your 2nd year, I believe. Tell me about how you're better this year than you were last.
I feel I've gotten a lot stronger mentally on putting my races together and just building my physical strength up.
When you're talking about training, what goes into training? It can't be just the pounding of the pavement. What else goes into training?
For training, you got to have your head in it, your soul in it. You just got to have your teammates. You have a lot of training, like physically and mentally. Yeah.
Well, I saw something on the sheet that said something about eating and sleeping too. How does that come into play?
You can't put junk in your body and expect to race good. You got to have good food to run good. And with sleep, if you don't sleep, you'll just be all sluggish and stuff.
All right. Hannah, you're one of the sophomores. Tell me about what has been some of the key parts of your training to get ready to be a state competitor.
Practicing and just working hard every day and doing the little things like eating right, sleeping, just doing everything.
Now, how long is a training session? Let's say if you were in the middle of the season, how long would a training session be for the cross-country team?
I'm not sure.
Like, how many miles do you run in a week or in a day?
We do a lot during the beginning, and base mileage is really important, and just getting the long runs in during the beginning, and then we just let off and go.
Now, you ran today. How long was the run today, for instance?
We just did a brisk 3 miles.
Okay, a brisk 3 mile. That sounds tough for people, I'm sure, listening. Let's see, I've got, is it Cheryl?
Yeah.
Okay, Cheryl, tell me, you're a first-year runner. Why have you been able to, coming out of junior high, be a part of a team that's going to state?
I just worked as hard as I can, just like kind of keep up with them, and they've been teaching me a lot about it and stuff.
When you're running, is there something you're focused on or a person you're trying to keep up with as you're running?
Absolutely, me and Emma, we kind of work together during our runs, and Jenna, and we kind of go with each other.
Okay. Well, it's all supposed to be a pack, but it's still, you're running on your own. Why do you want to be a part of a cross-country team? This sure looks like a lot of work.
Because we all work together as a team, and there's no drama, and yeah.
When did you first become a long-distance runner?
I'm in 7th grade because my sister ran cross country, and I looked up to her and did cross country too.
Okay, Emma, you're a newcomer as well. Why did you want to be a part of it?
Just seeing like the success they've had, and it just looked like a good bunch of girls.
You have to be ready just in case when you're talking about running at state. So how have you prepared this week? What has been this last week like?
You still have to train just like any of the other girls, and you have to be mentally into it.
All right, well, the Liberty Center girls running at state for the championship in Division III coming up Saturday. Liberty Center teams heading to state to compete in the championships. I'm talking with the coaching staff, and Jim Winsman, I'll start with you. You've seen a lot of progress from this Tiger cross country program, now getting 2 teams to state. Tell me how this team's been able to accomplish it.
They put in the hard work in the summer, like they were saying earlier. They put the hard work in during the season, the summer. I mean, they've worked together as a team. And
well, you talk about hard work. Tell me what that means. Is it just running? Is there any weightlifting? Is there other exercises that go into it?
We do miles in the summer, but we also do boot camp, which is like push-ups, sit-ups, crunches. And that gets a core. It gets a strong core. So, I mean, because you need more than just legs for cross-country. You need a strong core and legs.
How about the mental part? How do you develop the mental toughness in the kids?
It comes from the miles they put in the summer. And you get the mental from the miles you put in. I mean, if you put in the miles, you don't have to worry about when you go to race. But if you don't put in the work, it's a lot harder.
So it's like a confidence thing? You know you can do it?
Yeah. Cross-country is mostly confidence. I mean, you put in the work, you're going to be a good runner. I mean, it's all about putting in the work. I mean, if you have talent, you get away with a little bit, but I mean, it's like any sport, but I mean, if you put in the hard work, anybody can be a great runner as long as you put in the work.
This boot camp, who put that together?
It came from like a couple coaches, like Ron Martin does something like that. Tim threw his little difference into it, and I mean, it's just a mix of a couple of different coaches.
Talking with head coach Tim Atkinson. Tim, I've seen some of the sheets that you've put out and talk. It isn't just running that you're focused on with your team. Sleep, training, eating. Why is that all encompassed in this?
Well, we try and stress to the kids the importance of the whole package, not just one piece. I mean, if you're going to be an elite athlete, you have to train like an elite athlete. Our kids are very dedicated, and they do a great job with that. They pretty much live like a clock, do their schoolwork, get to bed early, eat properly. I think for some of these kids, they haven't had a pop in 6 months. And it's kind of funny, today on our run, we were talking about pop. And, you know, Saturday after Saturday, some of us are going to have a pop for the first time in 6 months. And we talked about how it burns and so forth, not very healthy for you. So they do all the little things, and I think that's why they have the success they have.
Well, let's break down sleep. How much sleep do you need to be a state champion athlete?
Well, I think for when you get to the level that we do in the training that you have, you're looking at sometimes 8 to 12 hours. I mean, there's a lot of times where they're physically, we're pushing in the middle of our season. We go through our hardest phase of training. I actually want them physically tired. And so that's when sleep becomes real critical. Near the end, we start backing off our workouts, and that same sleep is just as critical.
When you talk about both the teams making it this year, did you feel that was something that could be accomplished when you started way back this summer?
Absolutely. We went to the team camp at Champs and sat down with each team and talked about what we thought we were capable of. And those were two definitely team goals that we set. We actually have a goal sheet that we make and we laminate, and the kids have. Some of them keep them at home, some of them keep them in their lockers. But goal number 9 was to get teams to state. So we were real excited about that last Saturday. And I think what makes our program so special is this week is state week, and we still have our entire team here. Our JV is training hard, just as hard as our varsity. And I think that's what makes our program really unique. I was really excited the other day, Monday, we had a very tough workout, and some of my JV girls and boys were just throwing down some great times. And I think that whole attitude really carries over into my varsity.
Can you learn something from maybe a setback? I know the NWOAL didn't finish quite the way you wanted. Has that been a motivation coming down this part of the tournament trail?
I think it is. I think when we sat down with the kids, I think they were actually harder on themselves than what I was hard with them. It definitely left a bad taste in our mouth, and we just didn't like the way we performed. We always talk about how we perform. We can't control how other teams perform, and we just let that one get away. In both races in the last half mile, we gave up places, and we sat down as a team and talked about, the mistake that we've made and how we can't let that happen again. I thought last Saturday that really came to fruition because we were really picking off places in the last probably 600 to 800 meters of that race. So I think that was a lesson learned.
So what do you tell your team as they run their last race of the year here at State?
I think you tell them to have fun. The season ends for everybody Saturday. We want to go down there and represent our community, but we want to have fun doing that. And I think when these guys have fun, they're very, very difficult to beat. And I think the last couple of weeks we've had fun.